Hey y'all, it's Ari. If you like the shit we talk about in today's episode, please subscribe or share with a friend and leave a rating or review. Now, this episode is gonna blow your rocks off. And 3, 2, 1, action. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ari and Sid Show. I'm Ari.
And I'm Sid. We're forever friends, and this is the shit we care about.
On any given day, we find ourselves having conversations about some meaningful shit and sometimes some not so meaningful shit. And so we decided to come together and make a show to share with the world and spread some awareness, learn from one another along the way outside of our text threads.
For sure. So if you hear some shit that you agree with and you want to stay connected or help make some change, the information that we share in today's video or today's episode, apologies, will be posted in the episode description and on our social media pages.
Yeah. Now that is out of the way, people, this episode is about drum roll, which I'm doing that and it's not really a happy episode. So let me it is a happy episode because we are together.
Yes.
But today's topic is grief and seasonal depression.
Yes, ma'am. Also, one of the things that we're doing this month, it is December. We are highlighting Black businesses all month. All month long. So be sure you're following us on Instagram. And if you have any Black-owned businesses that you know of that you want us to highlight, please feel free to connect with us.
Yes.
But yes, today we are talking about grief and seasonal depression as the holidays are among us, the season of giving and all that jazz, but also winter is coming. I feel like winter's already here. But
you know, it's crazy. In Arizona, winter is here. I don't know about you, but if I had to put on a sweater, winter is here. Nobody's going to tell me any different.
Okay, winter is definitely here out here in Maryland. If I wake up in the morning and my phone tells me that it's anything less than 40 degrees outside, that's okay. First of all, it's a problem. Because what am I supposed to do? That tells me to stay inside. So
yeah, she's an Arizonian, true and through. Is that the thing? Through and through. Ooh, excuse me today. This is a lot of I can't talk. It's Sunday. We're recording on a different day. We usually record on Saturdays, but either way, we're here, and it's so fitting because we're kind of like in a weird mood today. I'm feeling real lazy, not in a like restful kind of way. It's like more like a I don't want to do shit kind of way. You know what I mean? Don't talk to me. Don't ask me how I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just here today. Not that I'm sad, but you know.
Right. And like, honestly, like I might not know how I'm feeling right now. And also like, I don't want to give that energy to find out. Like I'm that tired that like, I don't even want to like, I'm just here today.
No self-discovery, you know, no self-discovery today. I actually haven't even been sending y'all these cards, that I have. We're not really stranger cards that I love to death. And it's so funny because every time I see the acronym, I say wieners because it's WNRS. But yeah, they have some really great cards on there. But we're not doing any. Well, I guess we are doing some self-discovery today, as far as like sharing with each other what we have experienced. So, what have your experiences been with grief and seasonal depression, big or small? Because you know.
Yeah. Well, first, okay, so I know that as we were preparing for this topic this week, we both were like doing some research and like just, self-research and also like greater research on the interwebs, about like seasonal depression and things. And so can you kind of share what you like, even like a definition of like seasonal depression, or like what, and like giving context of like what we're talking about in terms of seasonal depression in our episode today.
Yeah, for sure. So the definition that I would like to go by today, it's kind of a mixture between two different ones, mostly because I couldn't find a source for the first one. Full transparency. But the first definition we have is a mood disorder characterized by depression that occurs at the same time every year. And then, according to the American Psychiatric Association, um, this seasonal depression, which is also known as seasonal affective disorder, they experience mood changes and symptoms similar to depression. The symptoms usually occur during the fall and the winter months when there is less sunlight, and usually improve with the arrival of spring. Um, so those two definitions in tandem, I feel like they both kind of say the same thing, but the American Psychiatric Association goes into a little bit more detail because the same time every year, maybe you're having a really good fucking year, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't start until whatever. So I think it's definitely something to consider based on a personal experience. But yes, that is our definition.
Yeah, thank you. So back to answer your question, big or small, my experiences with like grief or just like seasonal affective disorder. Really, so of course, if I want to stay current and think about this year and even like last year, I started to notice that, like, of course, I'm from Arizona and I live in Maryland now. And like Arizona, we don't have winter. And in Maryland and in DC, that's actually a thing. Like there are seasons here, right? And so that was something that my body, like physically, I had to get used to, and I didn't realize that until we were like in deep in the winter. You know what I'm saying? Like it's January, and I'm like, why the hell is it still cold outside? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm used to by February, by Valentine's Day, we're back in like shorts, right? Like low key, almost, but not in like we're not layering up more.
That's true.
Like out here in January, we're putting on more layers. That's wild to me. And so I did start to notice that like I thought I was becoming more, like you said, lazy. Like I didn't want to do anything, and like I just didn't have the energy to do certain things. Um, One, because it was just cold outside. Like that's not fun. Like,
Yeah.
but two, I think it was also just like the lack of sunlight and like the lack of being active because it was cold, like colder. I wasn't going outside more, and like I probably wasn't working out. Definitely not outside. I wasn't running at nobody's track or running in nobody's neighborhood in winter. That's
Put your snow boots on. We're going for a mile run.
right. So like, I think my experiences have been very small, but just noticing like small changes in myself, like when it does get colder outside, or like even just like being like mad a little bit. It's cold outside and like frustrated. But I haven't like been diagnosed with seasonal depression or seasonal affective disorder. So I wouldn't say I don't think I've had any like bigger experiences with it.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, I feel like this is one of those things that most often than not, you are like finding yourself self-diagnosing, because it's just like something that only you can't, unless you're honest with how you're feeling with somebody else, like a therapist. I mean, you have to acknowledge it first, right? You have to acknowledge, like, during this time of year, I'm feeling like a little bit more down, I'm sinking a little bit deeper into depression. And so, like, you have to acknowledge it. So I feel like a lot of times there's a lot of people who deal with this, but they don't ever like really know. They don't have a name for it. They just know during the holidays, excuse me, they're a little down. So it's definitely one of those things I have not been diagnosed with either. And also, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, but I didn't have a direct correlation between the weather and depression. Being from Arizona, like you mentioned, we don't really have a winter. The sun really is always there. It does get dark a little sooner now that it's winter, but, or I guess technically not winter until December 21st, whatever. But
Arizona people hate seasons.
Winter solstice, whatever.
Whatever that is.
But yeah, so I just find myself having like a lot more things happen during the holidays, like sadder things. You know, my dad's birthday is the day after Christmas, so it's always been like a little bit harder since he's been gone, having to deal with like, okay, we're celebrating Christmas without him. Oh, okay, then we got to celebrate his birthday, and then all these different things. Um, and then also my family has been a little bit dispersed, specifically ever since my dad passed away. And so getting together on the holidays has always been like random. And so that has been something that, like in my earlier 20s, I always was like struggling with. I don't want to just hang out with somebody else's family, but like my family's not really doing much besides like maybe cooking, which, cooking takes a lot of work. So there's no shade there. But like, those are the kind of things that I do miss because when my dad was here, we would just get together and it would be fine because it was like it's okay if we just get together and he cooks because he cooks. He had what there was 6 of them, so him cooking Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner was like a normal everyday thing. They cook that shit every day, feeding what is that 9 people, including his mom and dad. Like that shit was something.
Right.
So when he passed away, it was something that I definitely struggled with. And so during the holidays and during like the colder months, I noticed myself feeling a little bit more down and never really realizing that it was something that was related to weather. Um, and so I think more so than not, I am dealing more with like grief during those times, not necessarily like super deep into depression because I feel like since I've never gone to a therapist or been diagnosed, I don't really know. And I also don't really know how to manage my feelings. So who knows if I'm really depressed or maybe I just am having a hard time identifying feelings, right? Which is also a thing. Um, but yeah, so that's my experiences. I think it's interesting as we're getting older and like taking the steps to kind of like we said we're not doing any self discovery, but we're having this conversation and like reflecting on like, oh, well, maybe, looking back and identifying these key things in our lives that we've seen along the way and then like associating with them with something that has a true, like they have a plan for seasonal affective disorder, right? There's different treatment plans. Um, but yeah,
That's real
anyways.
though. And like even like talking specifically about grief in terms of like grief during like the winter or grief in the holidays, that's like real. And that's a reality for a lot of people. And like it can
Yeah.
be related to like, people not physically being here, like maybe they passed away, but also like now we're dealing with COVID and the pandemic, right? So like there are people who are having to like do the holidays from a distance, and that's really tough for folks. Like I December marks a year since I've seen my family in person. So like here we are, like, this is December's usually the time that we do go out to Arizona, and
Yeah.
we're not this year. So like that's something that we're grieving the loss of like that trip, that family time, the time for Amina to spend with her grandparents and her aunts and uncles and stuff like that. And so I think that grief should probably be something that we all try to take a little bit more, pay a little bit more attention to this year, and also like give each
Yeah.
other space to grieve. Like, and the grief is going to look different for everyone, how we process it and what we're grieving. Like, and for some people, it can be like, okay, that's not that deep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
to you, to you, that might not be that deep, but like it's deep over here. So like respect that at the bare minimum,
Yeah.
respect it.
And it's funny because you say specifically one of the things that I know I'm gonna miss this year because I go every single year and we've been going every year since we were in high school is Glendale Glitters.
Glendale
That
glitters.
was something that
Yeah.
was like I don't even go to like see lights. I go because you can get fair food for like without paying an entrance fee. You know what I'm saying? That chocolate covered cheesecake. I'm
Yes.
gonna miss that because, like, literally, me and Kendall, like, the last few years, I'd be like, "Hey, can we go get a chocolate covered cheesecake?" And he's like, "Sure, whatever." And then last year, it just so happened they had like a balloon festival, so there was like all these hot air balloons, which was super
Yeah.
cool. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss that because it was something like a cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
chocolate covered cheesecake, runs like what $12, but outside of that,
But like you said, like the entrance fee to Glendale Glitters is free. So like you could go there, see all the lights. They have like performances and things like that. So it's an experience. Oh, dang.
yeah, and who knows? They may have a version of it because they tried the whole like fair drive through thing, which
Mhm.
I don't even want to get into that. I sat in that damn line for 2.5 hours. I don't know why. It was just like a day we didn't have anything to do. But anyways, if they do have that for Glendale Glitters, I won't. I'll go. I'll
I
drive
know that
around.
out here, I know they do zoo lights out in Arizona too, and they do zoo lights here in DC, and they're doing like a mobile zoo lights thing where like,
Oh, that's
yeah, the
cool.
lights will be like on a truck, and they're going to certain neighborhoods. And they do have like out here, and I think they have them out there too because I was talking to somebody recently. But they have like drive-through light shows. Like
Yeah,
they'll
the
have,
illumination thing.
yeah, that's what someone here brought up. But also like Arizona has like a lot of nice neighborhoods that have like really nice decorations.
Yeah, there's a map. I found it the other day. It popped up on my Facebook, like
I need to
8
find one
must
of
see
those.
houses and maps to see other. I'm like, we're doing that with a cup of maybe spiked hot cocoa, depending on who's driving, and you know, Gwen will be in the back seat. She loves riding in cars, having no idea where we're going, but it's really
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, so we talked about our experiences. We've talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, do you notice? There's another thing that I also wanted to mention because my experience with in the child welfare system, I was a foster parent trainer also, so I taught the state curriculum for all foster parents have to go through this training in the
Mhm.
beginning. And there was something that we always talked about, and it's called developmental grieving.
Mm.
And I feel like this is something that's very common in people who never they don't know it's a thing. So developmental grieving is basically you experiencing something like a natural form of development or a natural not a natural but like something that you're going to experience in your life either through like your physical development or maybe it's like graduating high school or going to college, getting married, all these things that you could potentially do.
Mhm.
So for children in foster care, a lot of times they're experiencing those things outside of their biological home, right? And
Mhm.
so they're experiencing it with new family members, or maybe not even family members, maybe they're in a group home. And so these things, like they could be having, like they could have been in a foster home for like 5 years, and then they go somewhere and they know it's their mother's birthday and they have a whole meltdown because they're so used to experiencing something even though it's been 5 years, that's the same day every year. You could slide back into a different stage of grief because of that development that um naturally happens in life. So I say that because I feel like seasonal depression could also be associated with like certain times of year. I feel like things tend to happen, right? We know Thanksgiving and Christmas always happen in the winter and fall. But
Mhm.
like there's other holidays, that things happen. So I wonder, do you think you experience seasonal depression in other seasons during the year, or do you think it's always for you in the winter and fall?
Oh my god, get out of my head. I wanted to ask that same question. Okay, I'm like staring at you because I'm like, how did you? Okay, whatever. But so I was really thinking that too. Like I'm over here reading like over and over the definition about how like like it's usually in the fall and winter months. But like you said, like there are holidays and there are things that happen for folks in other seasons as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what are big things that happen in other seasons. This is gonna sound really maybe I don't know self-centered to some people, but when I think about spring, the only holiday I think about is my birthday. So so I'm like, dang, do I? But I mean, I don't know.
I
I think
mean,
like I don't think so. And I mean, there have definitely been some like changes that I've had to adjust to for like birthdays and like in the springtime, right? But I don't think I would put it in the same category.
that's fair.
What about you?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I definitely think if it was according to this definition, for me, it stays true to being like a lower frequency of a mood during these
Hmm.
months and like having to try and find ways to kind of like avoid, you know, laying in bed all day and those things that I do to kind of like cope with those lower mood. Not that I'm like completely, in shambles during these holidays or in fall and winter, but there's those days. Um, but yeah, I think I would definitely associate more with developmental grieving, or not even that, but like literally every holiday that involved like some sort of barbecue and cookout, I would be at my dad's house. So for the first few years, that was really hard to be like, okay, what am I doing for Memorial Day? And not that those like that's not really a happy holiday, but we barbecue anytime it's a free day off. You know what I'm saying? It's a barbecue. So yeah, so that's kind of where my head goes when it comes to like if there's any other type of depression or seasonal depression during those other times of year. That's kind of what my experience is. Let's talk a little bit. There's a few articles out there about COVID and plus seasonal depression. So, since we know that these months are already a thing when it comes to seasonal depression, now we're also adding COVID into it.
Mhm.
Have you been doing things to kind of take steps to prepare for? I mean, you said it's winter there already, but based on the winter solstice, do you sorry, I don't know why I'm throwing shade at that damn solstice, but have you been preparing yourself with like doing things to kind of not avoid, because you can't avoid your feelings. If you're feeling something, feel it every now and then, but to kind of create habits and so you can cope with things differently this year, specifically because of COVID.
Yeah, I think so. One of the main things that I've like been telling myself that I need to get on top of is like getting back to like regular exercise.
Mm,
So like this past week, shout out to you and Des for like holding me accountable. I worked out what 3 times this past week, and that's more than I've worked out in the last month. So that's
a
great. That's great. So I'm trying to like keep up with that. And then like also like yeah, like it's winter out here, but it's weird because like it's really nice outside right now. Like it's
mm,
probably feels terrible, but the sun's out. So like reminding myself that like even if it's kind of cold, like to get outside when I can, let the
yeah.
air smack me in the face a few times. You know what I'm saying? Stand where I can find the sun. And then Mo and I've also talked about like getting different light bulbs inside in the house to like that
Mm,
will like kind of like emit sunlight, quote unquote sunlight, like light, I guess. So um, thinking about that, and then also just trying to stay. I'm really like focusing on like nutrition and like
mm,
health, I guess, like health in general. Like what am I putting in my body and how am I moving my body? Because I feel like if I can stay on top of that, I can probably stay away from some of like the feelings associated with like the seasonal affective disorder.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think my biggest issue this year is really or not issue. My biggest challenge for the winter is going to be how to navigate like the grief of like not being with family and like having such a different Christmas season. Like I love Christmas. I love
Yeah.
Christmas so much, and like it's not going to look the same, and so like just like having things to remind myself like that it's okay. Like to
Yeah.
prevent myself from crying like every day of the week of Christmas. Like I know I'm going to need something. So I don't have a plan yet, y'all, but if anyone has an idea, shoot some my way. I'm definitely trying to put together a plan. What about you?
Yeah. Have I been doing anything to prepare for this winter season? No. I'll
You
be completely
worked out
honest.
though. I mean, but I don't know if that's one of your things. So
Um, I'd say working out definitely does help my mood most times. Have I been doing it to like actively boost my mood? Probably not. Um, but I think I have the intention. The intention is there. You know what I mean? I think I definitely like I got a juicer, so I'm definitely gonna start juicing more, finding juices that kind of work with like certain types of whatever I'm trying to do. So there's like detox ones and hydration ones, all those things.
Mhm.
So playing with the recipes, I think honestly something that I came across one of those wieners cards. Um sorry, I don't know why I called it that, but it said, what was the last thing that you did that really, or when was the last time you felt really, really happy? What were you doing and who were you with? And one of the things that I did most recently is refurbishing this desk. I don't know why it made me so happy, but like doing things with my hands really, I was so excited. Literally, that's all I did that whole, like those whole 2 days. And it was great. It was amazing. And so what I really want to do, like yesterday, we made those wreaths. I think I just want to keep doing things that are like crafty. Probably get back into macrame because that was something I was really passionate about at one point during the pandemic, and then took a slide down the hill and decided to say fuck it. And then also one thing, as I was reading and researching about this seasonal depression topic, is I like that you mentioned you are gonna get new light bulbs, because one of the things that came up for like potential treatments for seasonal depression is either sunlight for 20 to 30 minutes a day, or having those UV lights that you're referring to and sitting in them for at least 20 minutes a day will naturally boost your mood. So one thing that I think I want to try to start doing is like walking for 30 minutes total a day, not all at once, because you know but I also want to like take Gwen out at least twice a day. I think we do it like once. Don't judge me. We let her outside, of course,
But
and
Gwen
we run
also has a
around.
yard, yeah.
Yeah. So she gets her exercise in, just not as much as I think I should be doing. So doing those kind of things. And then also the last thing I want to do is I think I want to like submit a few like poems. First I want to finish a few new poems. I have finished ones, but finish a few poems, maybe submit them for like publication. That was one of my goals for the beginning of this year, is to like get published. We got what, 3 weeks? So who knows? I may be on the next bestsellers list. No, I'm just kidding. Dream big, right? So yeah, those are my things that I'm gonna try to do more of, so that I can be intentional in my journey along this seasonal depression
Yeah. And
path.
maybe that's part of it, right? Is like putting together your plan beforehand. Like, what are things that I know make me happy that I can have on location when I'm not feeling super happy?
Yeah.
That I can just kind of like jump into. Um, you about to make me go buy a bunch of stuff from Michael's now and blame it on you.
Hey, whatever does it. One of the things that I always tell people, because, I'm a big self love person, promoting it to people or encouraging people to explore things that help them feel loved. One of the things I always say is write down 5 things that make you smile and then go and do one of them. So,
Oh,
like, same thing, like, write 5 things that you enjoy doing. Do one of them not even when you're feeling sad. Do one of them just to, like, you don't put gas in your car when you're at empty on the side of the freeway, right? You put gas in your car. Hopefully, I mean, if I'm honest, maybe that's kind of how I do it, but you fuck up your car, right? If you wait until every single time, you're going to have a bad fuel pump system. I mean, we're getting into super details, but if you don't want to replace a fuel pump, let me tell you, that is an expensive fix. I had to do it.
but
So,
listen, you don't hold on. I'm sorry, because you don't even realize the analogy that you're making. Because like it's the same as like you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Like you can't
yeah,
keep
true.
letting your gas tank get to E before you fill it up. Like
Yes.
we need to, what I'm saying, if we notice that our gas tank is on half, we're gonna go ahead and fill it up because we don't want to get stuck on the side of the highway again.
Right,
That
exactly.
was my
So,
personal experience.
yeah. Exactly. So, like, write things down. I feel like I need to do more of lists, just like my list of things that I enjoy doing. Just as even reminders. If I'm feeling bored, what do I enjoy doing? You know what I mean? Like, because boredom is one of the symptoms of depression, uninterested, lack of motivation, all those things. Like, if you keep little reminders, not even having to do it, but thinking
Yeah.
of things, envisioning yourself doing things, those are all things that you can do to kind of like not even really boost your mood, but like get you maybe excited about something. You know, I love thinking about things that I potentially going to do. Am I going to do them? Who knows? But it makes me excited.
That's real. That's
Yeah.
real. I can
So
appreciate.
yeah. So if you have any ideas, I know we've had a depression episode before in COVID, but I feel like it's just like it's a, I feel like it's not a hamster wheel in a sense that we're stuck, but it's something that is like always applicable. You know, you can have chronic depression, right? And have it all the time. You can have depression like we're talking about right now, seasonal depression. You could just have those days that you just feel really, really, really sad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And down and like destitute in your emotions. So, if you have ideas that help you pull you out or keep you, stabilized and even killed, if you have those things, share with us. I'd love to add to my list because during this pandemic, I've tried I don't know how many damn hobbies, so I can always add more.
That's real. Yeah. And I also like thinking about like grief, right? And like there's so many things that people have already not been able to do because of COVID. But like with the holiday season coming up, for some people, like that being like a special time, like that being like a time that we know like most families are actually able to get together. Like a lot of people are gonna be grieving. So like just to be okay with that and allow people to grieve how they need to grieve. And even thinking about like, the doula in me, I'm always thinking about like, expecting mommies and expecting parents and like grieving the fact that like they can't be surrounded by family right now with a newborn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they can't
Yeah,
celebrate those kind of things and like people aren't going to be able to propose how they thought they were going to propose like on Christmas Eve in front of the like you know what I'm saying. So like it might feel little for you, but it might not be little for other folks. And so just to you know be kind to each other and be kind to yourself and even if you have those days where like it's not a day where you can write those 5 things down and like pick one of those 5 things to make you feel good, like allow yourself to have that day too, not stay
yeah,
there but to have it. You're allowed to be there, you're just not allowed to stay there.
yeah. Because we need you out here in this world.
We need you in these streets. Well, not in the streets because it's COVID, but we need you in these. We need you. We need you. Period.
Yeah, exactly. No, for real. I think it's important to feel your feels, get them out how you can that is healthy, Even like, never mind, I'm not even going to say that. But I be trying to catch myself in the middle of inappropriate thoughts because, like, I'm liable when we're on this thing and I'm talking to Sydney. I'm liable to say shit that people are gonna tilt their head at, like, huh? Anyways, do we have a cause this week or are we continuing because it's holiday season? We definitely still want to try and support Black businesses. I'm trying to spend some money in some Black businesses, so
Yeah, I actually this past weekend I made my first purchase on the Mariah app on the marketplace for Black owned
oh,
businesses. Yeah, I bought a Secret Santa gift for a person that I was doing the Secret Santa for, like the online Secret Santa thing.
oh yeah,
I bought my gift from there. So it was really cool. Black owned business, Black owned candle company that I bought from. So
nice.
very cool. But yeah, so like our cause for the rest of the month really is just going to be supporting Black businesses. We'll continue to, throw up information about different businesses on our Instagram. But also, of course, like wanting to share resources about seasonal depression and grief and things. And so we'll also tag some information from NIH and some other places for y'all to have some sources, some resources to get connected to some folks as well.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I can't wait to buy some stuff from people. Um, give them some money.
Giving the money. I got a quote too.
Oh,
I
I was
got
just
a
about
quote
to
to
ask
take
you.
y'all up. Yeah. All right. It's not necessarily connected to grief and seasonal depression, but I think it's a good quote for all of us to take into the next week. It says, breathe, be kind to yourself, respect your body, engage with others, allow emotions to ebb and flow, take life 1 minute at a time, honor your loved ones, and examine your expectations.
I think that's spot on.
Well, I do what I can.
You aren't a licensed social worker, but you just gave us all a treatment plan right there.
Ooh.
Write that down, rewind, write it down, do it all. Tell us how you feel afterwards.
Right.
And so Sydney can bill your insurance plan. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well,
man. Thanks for hanging out with us again, y'all. Another week, another episode. Stay tuned for more to come. You got anything else to add, Anna or Ari? I keep missing them.
Yeah. I think that you said it well, but also I just want to say, if you liked this episode, remember to subscribe, send to a friend, because I mean, if you like it, somebody else will, obviously. And also go head over to Instagram or Facebook, even Twitter, whatever your I can't even think of the word.
Whatever floats your boat.
Right. Hit that follow button, hit the like button, whichever the case may be. And we hope to see you next time. TTYL.